Hello, darlings. You're welcome to Z Star Africa, your home of sizzling drama recaps. Let's dive deep into the confessions, heartbreaks, shocking revelations, and emotional breakdowns in Janick's upcoming episodes. Moments that will leave you breathless and wanting more. From Parasher's unexpected love confession, to Moon's heartbreaking rejection of Ashi as her mother, to Apu's untimely, tragic death, which leaves everyone shattered and broken, and Janick's shocking pregnancy revelation that brings an unexpected twist to the drama. Just when the storm seems to settle, Ashi demands a DNA test, a decision that could ruin everything. Please like and turn on your notifications so you won't miss any of your favorites. It only gets more interesting. Let's dive in. It all begins with an emotional moment between Janick and Parasher, as Parasher finally confesses his love to Janick, telling her that though he knows she loves another, his heart couldn't hide it any longer. Janick gently tells him she can never love him that way, but she values his friendship and will always stand by him. Parasher smiles through his pain, saying that's enough for him. Meanwhile, Anirudh asks Arshi to look after Moon. Arshi becomes emotional, insisting Moon should call her mother, but Moon refuses, saying her real mother is Janick. Arshi tries to convince her otherwise, explaining how they got separated years ago. Later, Chotan and Mrinalini question Anirudh about Janick. He angrily reveals that Janick married a villager and refuses to bring her back. Arshi, still bitter, blames Janick for her unhappiness and vows that she and Anirudh will finally live in peace now that Moon is with them. Back in the village, Parasher defends Janick when others question her reputation. He challenges the women to stand by her if they still believe in her, and one by one, they do. Janick's kindness wins everyone's respect. Later, Parasher comforts Janick about losing Moon and expresses his deep concern for her. He shares his dream of fighting for villagers' rights and admits he cares deeply for her, even if she doesn't feel the same. Touched, Janick decides to stand by him in his fight. Parasher worries for her safety and says her life is already hard enough. But Janick insists, helping others will give her new purpose. Elsewhere, little Moon refuses to eat, crying to see her mother. Babla promises to take her if she eats, but Moon insists on going first. The elders argue. Shubankar believes Moon belongs with Janick, while others defend Anirudh, saying he has proof that Moon is Arshi's daughter. Still, tension fills the house as Moon keeps saying she wants to go back to her real mother, Janick. Arshi notices Anirudh's distant behavior and grows insecure, especially after hearing him whisper Janick and Moon's names in his sleep. When she confronts him, Anirudh asks her to trust him and warns her never to speak ill of Moon again. Elsewhere, Janick struggles to hold back tears after hearing Moon's voice. When Anirudh calls again, she answers, and Moon bursts into smiles, begging Janick to take her away. The call ends abruptly, leaving Moon in tears, believing Anirudh is a bad man. Heartbroken, Janick tells Parasher she won't speak to Moon again. She says Moon has her family now, and if the Bose family ever calls, Parasher should tell them she's no longer alive. Her words break Parasher's heart, but he sees the pain in her eyes, the pain of a mother forced to let go of her child. Meanwhile, Apu falls ill with a fever. Lalan, Kajal, and Jimli take care of her, but she insists she's fine. When Lalan mentions that Anirudh recently met Janick, Apu is shocked. He reveals that Moon is with Anirudh now, which makes Apu anxious to see both Janick and Moon. Before anyone can stop her, Apu faints, and Lalan rushes to carry her inside. At the village fair, fate brings a heartwarming reunion. Ishani spots Janick and runs to her. The two friends embrace tightly, overwhelmed with emotion. Ishani says she searched everywhere for her, and Janick admits she never imagined they'd meet again. Just as they begin talking, Jeet sees Ishani from afar and tells Dev he plans to kidnap her for rejecting his proposal. Elsewhere, Shubankar stirs up tension by accusing Lalan of neglecting Apu's treatment just to marry Kajal. Babla scolds him, but Shubankar continues, calling Lalan a rowdy. When Anirudh arrives, he defends Lalan, saying he would give up everything for Apu. Shabunkar insists Lalan took advantage of Apu's innocence, but Anirudh warns him to stop spreading lies. The argument grows heated as Tanuja sides with Shabunkar, yet Anirudh stands firm. He'll always support the truth. Arundhati finally begs everyone to stop fighting. Back at Apu's side, Lalan breaks down as the doctor says there's nothing more they can do. Anuradha weeps, and Kajal tries to give them hope, saying a miracle might still happen. Lalan cries that Apu's illness has spread too far, confessing he can't live without her. He promises never to sing again after she's gone. Kajal comforts him, saying they'll cherish every moment left with Apu, but Lalan's heart is shattered. The next day, Apu refuses to rest, wanting to stay near her loved ones. She asks Anjana why Anirudh hasn't brought Moon yet, and Anjana gently says he will once Apu recovers. When Bablu and Anjana discuss taking Apu to their house, Lalan breaks down, begging them not to separate her from him. Apu, sensing the pain around her, softly says she knows she's dying and will soon become a star. Her words bring tears to everyone's eyes. When she asks Lalan to sing for her, he hesitates, too broken to find his voice. But Apu insists she may not get another chance to hear him. Through tears, Lalan finally sings a heartfelt song as everyone weeps. Later, Kajal reveals to Bablu that the doctor said Apu's illness has spread everywhere. She doesn't have much time left. Bablu is devastated, unable to accept the truth. Sadness deepens as Jimli visits, and Apu softly tells her she's going to die. Everyone pleads with her not to talk that way, but Apu just smiles through her weakness. She asks them to stop crying and starts singing a song, her fragile voice filling the room with heartbreak. The next morning, Anirudh asks about Apu's condition. Anjana says she hasn't opened her eyes. Lalan suggests another hospital, but Kajal says there's nothing more doctors can do. Anuradha and Anjana decide to pray at the temple, their hearts heavy with grief. Later, Anirudh brings Moon to see Apu one last time. Moon gently talks to her, and Apu slowly opens her eyes, happy to see her friend. In a weak voice, she asks for Janick, but Anirudh tells her Janick now lives in a different world, one she cannot return from. Apu's eyes fill with tears as she whispers that Anirudh never truly understood Janick. Just then, Mimi arrives to visit her. Apu smiles faintly, saying Mimi has grown into a responsible woman, and asks her to marry Anirban soon, though she fears she might not live to see the wedding. Mimi becomes emotional, and says she wants Apu to perform the wedding rituals herself. But Apu gently tells her she won't recover. She knows it, and so does Lalan, who keeps crying secretly. Mimi tries to stay strong but breaks down. She asks if they can take Apu to another city for treatment. Lalan explains he has tried everything, his voice trembling with grief. Mimi asks him not to cry in front of Apu. Moon, sensing the sadness, places her hand on Apu's head and says she'll get better soon. To cheer everyone up, Apu decides to tell Moon a story, the story of Janick. As she speaks, she admits she wishes she could see Janick one last time before dying. Mimi suggests they try a video call, and Anirudh gives her Janick's number. Moon curiously asks who Janick is, and Anjana reveals that Janick is Newton. When the call connects, Janick immediately asks about Moon. Mimi tells her Moon is fine, and that Apu wants to speak to her. Apu tells Janick in a weak voice that she doesn't have much time left. She says Anirudh told her Janick got married, and she wishes Janick were there with her. Janick, holding back tears, tells Apu that nothing will happen to her. But Apu smiles sadly, saying her story is ending while Janick's is still being written. She says she hopes Janick finds happiness, and admits she knows Janick still loves Anirudh. Trying to change the topic, Janick asks to talk about something else. When Moon suddenly says she wants to talk to her mother, Janick's heart shatters. She hurriedly says she has work and ends the call, hiding her tears. Janick is broken, tears rolling down her cheeks. She prays for Apu and Moon, reminding herself that she must stay strong, for Moon's future, if not her own. Back at Apu's house, Mimi asks Anirudh if Janick really got married. He snaps, refusing to talk about her. Mimi explains that Moon wanted to speak to Janick, but Janick ended the call suddenly. Anirudh calls Janick selfish, but Apu, struggling to sit up, warns him never to speak against Janick again. Kajal asks Apu to rest. Moon sulks, saying she won't talk to her mother since her mother didn't talk to her. Apu smiles weakly and says Moon will one day understand why Janick couldn't speak. Then she closes her eyes and drifts to sleep. The next morning, Janick suddenly feels dizzy and rushes to vomit. Ronnie gets worried, while Kanka taunts that this must be a miracle since Janick and Parasher don't even share a room. Smirking, she hints it could be pregnancy. Janick freezes, recalling her private moments with Anirudh. When Bua examines her, she confirms it. Janick is pregnant. Soon, Parasher walks in with his men. Ronnie cheerfully tells him to distribute sweets, and Bua insists he should take good care of Janick. Confused, Parasher asks what's going on. When Bua reveals Janick's pregnancy, he stands in shock, unable to believe his ears. After a moment, he decides to inform Anirudh immediately. But Janick, her face calm yet determined, says she doesn't need anyone's help. She will raise her child alone. Meanwhile, Moon tells Anirudh how kind Apu is. Just then, Arshi storms in and questions why Anirudh took Moon to meet Apu. Anirudh explains that Apu wanted to see her one last time, but Arshi argues that Apu is dying and Moon won't be able to handle that pain. Their argument grows tense until the family intervenes. In another part of the house, Tanuja complains that Lalan still hasn't taken Apu to the new doctor. Shabunkar calls him irresponsible, but Bapasha suggests visiting Apu herself. When Arshi and Anirudh's argument becomes loud, the family rushes to their room. Bapasha tells Anirudh that Arshi has every right to be involved in Moon's matters, but he angrily tells her to stop interfering since she left the house long ago. Amid the chaos, Moon tearfully says she wants to go to Janick because no one loves her. Anirudh tries to comfort her, but Shabunkar blurts out that Moon isn't his child. Shocked, Anirudh quickly takes Moon away. Arshi demands to know the truth, and Shabunkar insists on doing a DNA test, saying they need Arshi's help since Anirudh won't agree. At Lalan's, Anuradha asks Lalan to wake Apu up for food, but when he tries, Apu doesn't respond. Kajal rushes in and notices foam at Apu's mouth. Panic fills the room as Lalan cries and begs Apu to wake up. Kajal checks her pulse, and the dreadful truth sinks in. Apu is gone. Lalan breaks down completely, unable to accept that the love of his life has left him forever. Neighbors gather as Anirudh calls for a doctor, but it's too late. Back in the village, Parasher brings fruits for Janick, worried about her health. Janick admits she's been vomiting and feeling weak. Parasher gently reminds her to eat well, not for herself, but for the baby. When he asks if she'll tell Anirudh about the pregnancy, Janick quietly says no. She believes Anirudh thinks she's already Parasher's wife, and she refuses to face more judgment or humiliation. Parasher insists she stay in the village, saying the gossip will fade with time, but Janick's heart remains heavy, torn between truth and silence. That's a wrap, fams. See you in the next. Much love.